what do you call this? Like emergency press conference. So I don't know what you do.
Live on the street. It's a streeter. We're doing a streeter.
Welcome to Vancouver. We're on the scene. We're on the ground of. We're in Toronto, because of course we're in Toronto.
Look at all these fucking towers. What are they doing here?
Yeah. Thanks for being. I see there's a lot of you hanging out in the chat and been waiting for us. So here we go. We're flying by the seat of our pants, much like a lot of people were tonight. Apparently, there's players on airplanes and having to waive no trades, and
we know more than some of the principal parts at this point.
Yeah,
and so do you.
Elias Lindholm is gone. He has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks. The second deal with Vancouver for a UFA this season.
In-season, divisional rival.
And we talked about that the other day. We'll get into it, but it's, you got to wait for more return because it's a rival. It's in your division. You take the best return. And I don't know what other offers there were, but this feels like it has to be close to the best return Craig Conroy could have gotten.
Yeah, and I've always said you wait till the deadline because that's when you have the most leverage. But I think you also say, okay, if we could get X, we pull the trigger. And X here was a player that scored 40 as a rookie in the NHL last year, 2 defensive prospects, and a conditional pick. Connie got a pile of assets here for Elias Lindholm, who is a great player and will look better in Vancouver, Dean, because we know he looks really good when he's got talent around him.
And he is, and at the same time, he is what he is. Just throw that back up for us, Jack. We'll just kind of walk through it there. So it's Lindholm, and only Lindholm, an expiring UFA. There's no retained salary here. So
that we've heard of, that we know of.
We're led to believe, and Orion Pike had it on his X account, that there's no retained salary. So they get a first-round pick. It'll be Vancouver's first in 2024. The conditional fourth in 2024. Don't know what the conditions are on that. It's maybe a Lindholm re-signing. Maybe it's a round 2 or 3.
Sure.
Games played type of a thing. Andrei Kuzmenko, who we've talked a lot about. We had Frank talking about him last week, I guess, maybe, after...
Very toolsy, has fallen out of favor under Tocchet, but again, a monster rookie season. Not young. Will be a free agent in a year, but a guy that is going to get a lot more ice time and opportunity in Calgary, safe to say, than he did on a team that's got the likes of a JT Miller, a Besser, Elias Pettersson, and many, many more. He's going to get some ice here, so maybe he's not the flame for a long time. This could be a pump and dump, or maybe they love him like Sharon Govich and you extend a deal. We'll see here.
There are options there, which is kind of nice. You know the player can score at the NHL level. If he decides to start scoring again, then it won't be a pump and dump. It'll be a how do we keep this guy in the fold.
Totally.
Joni Jurmo, a defenseman drafted in the 3rd round. Hunter Brzustewicz, and I think we're saying that correctly, also a 3rd rounder from the most recent draft. He's 19. He's 3rd in OHL scoring among all players. Now,
leading defensive scorer in the
leading defensive scorer.
Sorry, we're doing a podcast. Just
sorry. Hi, Rhett.
Begging for change.
Now, conflicting reports, and I wonder what is the key to this deal? Is it the first? Is it Kuzmenko? Is it Hunter Brzustewicz? In the short amount of time that has passed since the deal went down, we've reached out to the people that we know. Not conflicting reports, but differing reports. Brzustewicz, offense first, has a ton of points, a ton of assists. He's 19 in the Ontario Hockey League. And some say his defensive game, he deserves more credit. He's not getting enough credit for his defensive play. And on the other side, it's guy is high octane, high offense, but is on the softer side and doesn't know how to play in his own end.
Truth's probably in the middle.
The truth is probably in the middle.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came to my mind, and it was not so much, the comparable isn't a good one because the points weren't there, but that's what they said about Shillington. Offense, great skater, puts up points, but defense needs work, doesn't know how to play in his own end. If this guy turns into a Oliver Shillington, you'd be delighted, I would think. But it's undeniable, the points, and I don't know about Jurmo. It seems like he's probably a project at best, but they don't have a lot of D in the pipeline. 2 defensemen come in here, plus a couple of picks, potentially a couple of picks. At least the first rounder will happen, depending on what the conditions are in the 4th. And then Kuzmenko. So in terms of quality and quantity, it sure seems like Conroy did really well here.
I agree. And I think one of the things to remember is maybe the one kid you like the most in the deal doesn't pan out. They've got other options and guys that it's just a throw in. That could be a player. There's a lot of pieces here that could really help. And the first rounder is not going to be high. Let's understand where Vancouver is. I believe, top 2 in the NHL. So this is what we used to call a second rounder. This is pick 31, 32, 30. There has not been. There was a time we lived in the NHL when there was 22 teams, 21 teams for a long time. So don't think of it as a first, but when the conversation began, it was, okay, it's Kuzmenko and Lindholm, and that's all we heard. You're like, this can't be 1-for-1.
Yeah, I started feverishly texting.
1-for-1.
I was texting Drager. It's like, this can't be 1-for-1. There's got to be more. He's like, no, there's more. But again, there were guys, they were trying to get a hold of Kuzmenko to waive the no trade, and then they were trying to get at these other guys. So, and I put it on, I tweeted it out just a while ago. I was kind of leery, not skeptical, but I was just I was concerned to get a first and for Elias Lindholm or any of these UFAs. You can't blame Conroy that Vancouver's really good and their first rounder is going to be late. He got a first and the and is significant. Whether what Jurmo turns out to be, this is a intriguing, high-end offensive prospect in the Ontario Hockey League who's young, a guy who has scored at the NHL level at an elite pace, a first rounder for a guy, and you didn't retain salary, and he's done at the end of the season. And really, the longer the season went, there was no appetite for him to stay.
I feel good for Lindholm.
It's good for him. And you know what? The other part of it is, too, I don't know, this is not a good season for Elias Lindholm. It's not like you're trading Lindholm at the top of the curve.
No.
He's got 9 goals. You're trading, there's very low as far as the trade value. So I think Conroy did well here. I don't know what else was out there. We probably will never know. But this feels like Vancouver obviously wanted this player. They get it done here in the end of January, not at the trade deadline. So they probably said, let's stop messing around. Let's get this done. So I think Conroy, I think he does well here.
The other thing, Kent Wilson, we had on Saturday on Afterburner, and he had noted, it's cool to like try to hold the cards as long as you can and get max leverage. But what if all these teams that are interested in a Lindholm have made a move or have settled for a light version or a caffeine-free version like Sean Monahan? And it's like, well, now here we are holding an asset. Connie's not only gotten a deal done ahead of the market, but he's got a lot of lottery tickets here on top of a first and a guy that scored 40. It would not be surprising to me at all if you see Kuzmenko come into a role here where he's playing first power play minutes, a lot of ice time in the offensive zone. He's going to be your best finisher. You're going to give a great chance for this guy to put up huge numbers. Why wouldn't it be possible to have another deal like this in a year or an extension?
So there you see the numbers on Kuzmenko. Now, the NHL body of work it's not huge. He's not a young rookie, right? He's an older player. But with Rick talk, it didn't fit. And I know reading some of the reports that came out, Kuzmenko did have Calgary on the no-trade list, spoke with Conroy, spoke with the coaching staff, members of the coaching staff, including Huska. And let's do this thing. So it is intriguing for sure. And it's the start. You start to kind of see the vision.
Yes.
Now you add another pick, and does that change? And I know the other thing is too, that Chris Tanev, his name, I thought
in there for a bit.
It sounded like he was part of this deal, so it gets to be so big that you just have to peel some things back. And I guess just to your original point there about the return, I talked to a hockey executive one time. He says, you know what his philosophy was. Set the price that you would say yes to. What would you say yes to? Then keep that in mind. When you get it, don't F around.
Take it.
That's good. And I wonder if that's where Conroy was here. I wanted a player. I wanted a first and a prospect. Well, he got a player, a first, and a prospect. You can dance.
2 prospects.
Then as you get closer to the deadline, you might get more. But then all of a sudden, there's a lot more teams selling, and there's maybe fewer buyers, and it becomes harder. I think this was the pick, the prospect, and the player. Just get it done.
I agree. There's a lot to dream on in the OHL league-leading scoring defenseman, Brzustewicz. We're gonna have to get a pronouncer on him, but
we'll work on it. And you know what, Jeremy Poirier was that guy too, Flames guy,
and Sam Morin, who they picked last year in the draft. You can teach guys D. What you can't do is take a defensive defenseman and say go get 70 points. He's a point and a half a game. He's in the O. He's 19. Look, a lot of guys, if they're going to be megastuds, might not be playing in junior at 19. This is fine. It's a third rounder. We heard from the coaching staff of the team. They like him a lot. And they think that a third was a value pick at that time. Now he's included in this trade. They don't have a lot of picks on D. And you talked about the vision. Okay, they don't have a center here. I think we see at least one defenseman move, maybe two. I wonder about Markstrom. It's a more complicated thing to do, as we've talked about a bunch over the last few days and weeks even. But you can see, like, it is now Kadri, Backlund,
Well, I was going,
and who else at center? Like, the path is clear at this point, Dean.
because we talked about it on the show 2 days ago, maybe. It was after the Greer injury, that between Dubé and his situation, and then Greer getting hurt, you probably wouldn't have put Ruzicka on waivers a day. It happened the day before Greer gets injured. So if Greer doesn't get injured, Ruzicka, or if the Dubé thing doesn't happen, then Ruzicka's probably still a Flame. And now all of a sudden he's in that center mix, but he's no longer here. So the depth down the middle takes us a serious hit for sure.
And then if you are going to move a Tanev and Hanifin says thanks, but no thanks because I see Lindholm's leaving. I mean, look, I think these are great deals, but we understand this can be a very good thing for the Flames if they don't run the table down the stretch. And that's exaggerating, but I don't think a top 6 pick is out of range here. And they still have some good pros around. This is what everyone wanted. I shouldn't say everyone. This is what most people said. Could you get younger? Could you bring in some kids? Could you amass some picks? They've done a lot of that. Now they've been competitive. The games have been good. They might get a top 6 pick as well.
And it's not about this year, right?
No.
It's not about who's going to play center. Somebody's going to play. They're not going to play a man short. Someone's going to get the call from the Wranglers. Someone's going to move around into the lineup. And the question everybody's been asking is now been answered. Craig Conroy's a seller. The Flames are sellers.
Yes.
Craig has the ability to sell. This is not a deal that was made with this season or possibly even next season in mind. They are, call it what you want, retool, rebuild. They are building towards the future. So a lot of the questions that we had kind of answered. This is a blockbuster deal for sure.
Path has been declared, and I have great news for Cole Schwindt. We're going to need you.
Cole Schwindt, Jones. I'm trying to think who else would be.
Benny Dimes.
Yeah, Benny Dimes. Who else might be?
Anyone that could play center anywhere. And look, I like that they get ahead of the deadline here. They've got 10 days. Path has been declared, and okay, you've got 5.5 weeks till the deadline, and then after that, another 5 weeks till the end of the season. More to come.
Flames don't have an all-star, which is sad. Now,
it's appropriate.
Now Lindholm is here. Didn't that happen last year with Bo Horvat?
It did, yeah.
He got traded to the Islanders.
What jersey is he going to wear?
Yeah. So we'll see.
Do you remember what the term and the dollars were? Lou was asked.
It was too much for too long. Is that what it was?
Too much money in too many years.
Too many years. Yeah. So
Flames avoid that.
Yeah.
So and to Lindholm, you were a great Flame. 17 goals, a career high before you got there, Dino, and some monster seasons in there. This is not the go-away season you wanted, but at the end of the day, the back of his hockey card still told the story. The GMs around the league understood what this player is. He can't do it himself. He's great defensively, but if you give him skill, he'll score as well. That's a guy that came in. You wondered if he could score 20. He left as a 40-goal guy, played on one of the most dominant lines in the league for a couple of years, and he ends up getting them a haul.
Coaches love this guy. He'll play 20 minutes. He's good both ways. He'll win you draws. He's not going to hurt you. He will be a very good Canuck, and then wherever he ends up next year, he'll be very good there as well, too.
Maybe Vancouver, maybe somewhere else. And look, I love it for Vancouver, too. Look at your division. Vegas has been ravaged with injuries. They didn't have much of an offseason. Edmonton's red hot. You're in first. You have home ice right now. Mm-hmm. This is not a sit-back move. They go get Zadorov in November. Now they do this. Vancouver is going to be a legitimately difficult out. They have a lot of high-end finishers, and I expect an offensive Elias Lindholm to show up in Vancouver.
And we're less than an hour out from this trade going down. And not that it really matters, but just kind of scanning some of the replies to the trade and some of the comments, it seems like Flames fans are fairly happy.
Yeah.
Part of it is you knew Lindholm was leaving. I don't think anybody's too upset that it is Vancouver. You get over that. But it seems like the return has satisfied Flames fans so far. They were not happy about Sharangovich, oddly enough, and now everyone loves it. Only time will tell whether or not this is a good trade, a great trade, a bad trade. But it sure seems like Flames fans they're enjoying the work of Craig Conroy here in year one.
I need to get some food. I forgot to eat because I was.
Ryan was visiting and missed the order of food. I did not.
I got some old fashions though. So
the tagliatelle alla bolognese was delicious. So we're here in Toronto, oddly enough. Couldn't be further away from the trade, so that's good. But we're going to be doing shows tomorrow from a different studio in a different town, wearing different clothes. They want us to kind of dress up like collared shirts. I don't know.
We got something to talk about at least. I'm worried about the Pinder report. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either because
Jack's,
where is Jack?
He's in Montana.
He's in Montana doing this thing.
He's at the Bulldog drinking a pitcher in each hand.
Yeah, just hammered. And yeah, Warner is here.
Is he here?
He's here somewhere.
No, okay.
He's in there drinking your old fashioned.
We gotta go. Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
There you go.
Press the button.
Right. Well, Jack will do it. He'll take us.
Jack can do that.